morning, everybody.
Good morning. Happy sunshiny day.
Yes, there's many things to be thankful for today.
Yes, there is.
And I hope we all are making a list, even if it's only a bird that is singing while you have your coffee or your favorite show, or like us, we're your favorite show, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Well, at this time of the morning, anyway.
Only the people that get up and have to have their coffee earlier
That's
with us this
right.
morning.
That's right. Oh, goodness. And I even went to bed earlier last night, which is really unusual for me. And
That's
I
one of the
was still dragging this morning.
I'm trying to make a new practice of in the last couple of months I've tried to start a new healthy thing. I'm trying to get regular sleep, so many hours a night. And it's my health, my watch is tracking my sleep in the night.
Okay.
So it's telling me what kind of sleep I'm getting. I think anything that you find revival,
Good,
it's important. Yeah, Pepsi
good
works.
suggestion, Karen.
I like it.
Oh,
It was such a blessing to see Karen at the quilt show on Friday. My friend and I went on Friday. It was such a beautiful quilt show. And I really enjoyed. And Karen, your quilt was so beautiful. The one that you had on display, I enjoyed it so much, and I meant to tell you that, and I got sidetracked, and I'm sorry about that. But such creativity, being who we are, is such an important thing, and acting on that belief that we are enough and putting our faith into action is so important.
well, and then appreciating I'm not a quilter, but I love quilts. And I inherited a lot of quilts that have come down through my family, both sides of my family. And I use them. They're not folded up neatly in the cedar chest or on the shelf in the closet. I use them and I enjoy them. I
I
just love
have
to have them out.
I have one that's been passed down through the family, and it's been well loved. So I take good care of it because it's kind of coming unraveled in places. But it's the one mom always used when we were homesick and sitting on the couch. And she would bring that quilt for us to sleep with on the couch so she could watch us and still do her chores and things when we were homesick. But I have special memories of that quilt.
And
So
there was a quilt in my family that probably one like you're talking about, Debbie, that came down through the ages. Maybe mine came over on the boat. I don't know. I did have grandparents that came over on the boat from Sweden and Norway. But anyway, um, I was at a craft show and saw someone had made cats
oh,
out of old quilts. And I mean, they're incredible pieces. And I thought, by golly, I can share this old quilt with the rest of my family. And I laid that cat out and made a pattern for it. And I think I made 10 quilted cats out of those. So
it,
yeah. So now I get to look at them every day and they're right there.
I was really impressed with all the patterns and some of the intricate work that was done. It goes to show that, people made with what uh, over time it's been practice, it's been handed down mother to daughter. And I think it's an important part of who we are. It lets you know the color selection. I find color selection. I love color. I'm not a quilter either, but I love to look at them. I'm learning how to sew and learning how to quilt. My friend Joanne is a quilter. So I'm,
Oh, that's good to know.
yes. And so she has quite a gift. I really appreciate going. and being we spend good quality time together, and she shares her gift. She's gotten so good at it over time, and but there's some I've learned how to tell the difference between hand quilting and machine quilting, and it's so intricate, so beautiful. So the tiny little stitches, the
such dedication to.
vision. You have
And and
to see it.
and Karen, I hope you caught Joanne's Creighton. That's her name. So there's a third person right there. So we would have Joanne and Karen and Judy Hill. What an awesome thing to get started. I want to learn. I told Karen yesterday, maybe I wouldn't want to start with a quilt,
Right, something
but
small,
I might want to start with a pillow top.
or even like a coaster for my coffee,
Well, no, that would be a quick start. Yes.
or a hot pad to pull the cookie sheet out of the oven with. I mean, I'm thinking really small.
But anyway, we are thinking about different outreach ministries and sharing opportunities. And my goodness, that would be. I think we've got something going here.
Well, when you look at quilting over the years, I look at Amish people because I've been to visit some of their stores, and so I've seen the work that they do. But they have quilting guilds, they have quilting bees, they get together and they sew together, and it's previously arranged. It's time dedicated to that, and then they will get together and make a quilt for someone who's getting married or someone who's had a baby or that kind of thing. So they spread the love around because it's all made with love. And I just really can't. I love to watch them create.
And actually, in the home church that I grew up in as a child, there were two different quilting, clubs, groups, guilds, quilting. I'm not sure what they called themselves, but they were there routinely every week. The two groups would come and create beautiful, beautiful things. And I don't know what they did with those. I assume they gave them away or they.
But it's enough. It goes to show you that people didn't necessarily take time to socialize, just to socialize, to sit and have a cup of tea. But they had their needle and thread, and they sat and they created for someone else. And all at the same time, they achieved that sense of community that we all look for,
Right.
to be a part of something.
We do. And those things that we are grateful for, the community, that's part of the things that I'm grateful for. And gratitude was the topic that Debbie and I decided we would share about this morning.
I kind of wanted to share something I found, of course, on the internet, but even so, it struck me as what we're seeking. We're all looking for a sense of community. True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are.
I love that.
Yes.
And that last sentence about true belonging, we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which the three of those roll right in together. But if you can have diversity, you can have equity, and you can have inclusion, but if you do not have belonging as part of that equation, the rest doesn't matter. Because if a person doesn't feel like they belong to the group, or that they're not important or contributing to the success of the group, they don't feel that
and
belonging.
and further, I wanted to point out that sometimes we lack invitational phrases where we have a group, but we're very comfortable in the group and we don't think about expanding the group. Or, oh, gee, I bet you so and so would love joining us. Hey, Julie, would you like to be part of our group? Hey, Susie, would you want to join with us? Come meet with us on Tuesday.
Yeah,
I,
and the invitation
that makes
is
that
very
help.
important.
Well, that helps you feel like you belong. Otherwise, you're just an outsider, and it's very hard to break into a group when you have to A, ask to be part of the group, B, well, if you sense any reluctance to you joining the group, then you start to think, well, wait a minute, I'm not good enough. And you are. You're perfectly good enough, but you need to break down. It's hard for a new person to break down the barriers.
I agree. So, in addition to the invitation, once we get somebody there, then we need to have open arms and welcome. And we need to have a plan for that. So what does that look like when we have somebody new that comes? We have to be ready.
And a smile is a great way to start. And remember that your body language is important. Hesitant when you have to wait a minute, let me think. You can see that let me think about it look on someone's face, and you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, there's some kind of rule that I may not be able to make.
I hear a qualifier coming.
Yes. And we've all experienced that.
Oh, yes, we definitely have experienced that in a lot of different situations. You can be a leader in one area, one group, and you go to another group and it's like, hi Debbie, I know you, but I don't know anybody else. And where do we go from here? What does this really look like? And if you don't feel that you belong there, maybe you don't belong to the group yet as a working part of a group, but it's so important. And I think our Fresh Expressions outreach is really critical to have that inclusive outreach feeling. I'm excited about the quilting opportunity.
Well, I would love to see something like that, because I would be the weak link. I would join up and hope that somebody would share their expertise with me.
I told Karen yesterday, I have a project we could work on.
It had been so many years since I'd had a sewing machine, and I bought a sewing machine a year ago again, and I had to go down to the store and have them teach me how to operate it, because it had been so long since I had used a sewing machine. And my mother's sewing machine was a very old Singer sewing machine that had a pedal on the floor, and it was just an interesting sewing machine. So it's like nothing we have today. So I felt like I needed a whole nother set of instructions to start. It can be intimidating.
It can be intimidating.
Yes.
And we probably ought to think about our gratitude piece for today. And
yes.
And that can be intimidating. Where do we start? What are we grateful for? And the article that I was looking at suggested that we keep a gratitude journal. And golly, I got one. Somebody gifted me one 10 years ago, probably. Well, it still doesn't have anything written in it. Not that I'm not grateful. I'm not a journal kind of person, and it's hard for me. Um, but this suggestion was just write down one word each day of something that you're grateful for, or that you appreciate. And I thought, I can do that.
Well, I'd like to share that my recent experience with my eye. I am so grateful for people who pray. The praying parts of our church never get enough credit and recognition. Not that they're looking for it, but it's such an important mission and aspect of our church. And I'm so grateful for those who have prayed for me, because I felt like it was very instrumental in my healing. And so I just wanted to put that, I wanted to say that's right now, that's my biggest gratitude, is for all those who prayed.
And we talk about prayer a lot, and we know prayer works.
But it's awkward to talk about it among people, among groups and things, because I don't know, it feels awkward because it's so personal. Prayer is so personal that to share that part of ourselves, I think, is hard.
Well, it's that opening up
Mm-hmm. Because
to let ourselves be vulnerable.
well, in that conversation with God, because God knows everything about you and all your flaws and all your good points and all your stuff that's going on in your life. And sometimes we don't share all that, and it's not something we're comfortable sharing. And so I think that to share our prayer life with someone is hard, but I'm not saying that you have to share your prayer life, but I'm just appreciative for those that have made it a spiritual practice on a regular basis to pray for people, because I can't thank them enough.
Well, and I think it's so important that when we ask somebody, how can I pray for you, that we feel comfortable enough, or we can make ourselves comfortable enough to say, please pray for me, because and right now I lost a very, very close friend, and it happened very suddenly, and it's just really, it's very difficult to accept this.
My friend Joanne and I spend a lot of time together, and I truly appreciate her friendship. It's been over many decades that we've been friends. And she and I were talking about how, we have lost a lot of our family members. Our parents are gone, our grandparents are gone. Those important relationships, but friendships are just as important. And they can fill in behind the loss of family sometimes. Loss of a mom, a loss of a dad, loss of a grandparent. Because as we get older, that's what's left. And I'll never forget one of the things my grandma told me was, the reason why she didn't want to go on was, all my friends are gone. I can't imagine what that would be like. All your friends are gone, all your parents are gone, all your grandparents are gone. Granted, she had many grandchildren and that would come by and visit and things like that, but it wasn't the same, I think.
Now, family's here, and friends are here, and we need both.
They're often interchangeable.
They are. I agree.
And I could hear that in your voice when you spoke of your friend that had passed. It's just like a piece of you is missing.
Yeah, that
Those memories that you had with that person, you can no longer share with that person, and that's hard to give up.
and I think if I not if because I did decide that I'm going to try to write one word a day in my journal, and today I will write Barbara. That's the only word that I'm going to put in my journal for today.
And that has meaning for you, and that's
Yes.
important.
And nobody else needs to read my journal or um, what is she what is she thinking? Why did she put that down? I think over the course of time it all makes sense. So um, what those of you that are at home and us here with our paper and our beverage and pen, if you were to write down 5 things that you're that you are grateful for, what would that look like? Where would you start? Hmm. The song that Vicky sang yesterday, "Oh Happy Day."
One of my favorites.
Oh, when Jesus washed my sins away, he taught me how to fight. He taught me how to watch first and fight and pray. He taught me how to be rejoicing every day. And so I thought, watch. There could be so many different ways um, that could be incorporated. But I thought, well, watch for those everyday things that we're blessed for, those things that we take for granted. Like right now, the sunshine, the green, the green that's outside. I love it.
And the redbud trees.
And the redbud trees and the dogwood trees that are budding out. Oh golly.
Joanne and I drove up to Weston on Saturday, and it was such a lovely day. We had a great day shopping, and but I enjoyed, the most important part of the day was the driving to and the driving home, because the vistas from the rolling hills, the sense of the prairies have a different feel than like living in California. You come to the crest of a rolling hill and you look out over the expanse, and the hills are green, and the cattle are feeding in the pastures, and the redbud trees are blooming, and the birds are flying. It was just a marvelous sense of feeling.
And some people say that it's boring to drive across the state of Kansas.
Nope.
And I totally disagree. You can take me out of my hometown, the country hometown, but you can't take that out of me.
Nope.
I absolutely love driving just like that and looking at the creation. Look, the rolling hills, the cattle, the wheat fields. It's a beautiful thing. It's to me, it fills me up.
It's expensive. That's what I thought of when I look at that. I think of how big it is and how endless, and it just goes
Endless.
on. It goes into infinity. That's what you kind of think about when you look at the expanse of that.
So the second word was fight, and I thought, fight. Well, so Debbie, what you opened up with this morning about belonging, and what I came up with was, we fight for everyone to be treated fairly, with respect and with dignity. And I will add to that, to make them have that sense of belonging. If you feel like you belong, you're going to come back.
And you can have different ideas on issues, but as long as you feel okay to speak your truth, and they can speak their truth, and you can still be part of the same group. That's the important part. You don't have to tear it all down.
Well, and belonging. If everybody was just like me, it would be really boring.
Yes. I,
And we need our differences. We need everybody to contribute their gifts and their talents and share so that our quilt has all of the components and it looks like all of us. So what did the word pray? Well, we all understand that, but in regards to gratitude for today, pray for God to continue to bless us with those everyday things that we take for granted.
and to be able to come into community and share our uniqueness, because we're private, and share with ourselves a lot. That inner voice that's constantly working inside of us, whether you're praying with God and that kind of thing. But we're used to that, and it gets a little, we need innovation from others. We need to have someone else's insight to add to our own uniqueness to grow, because otherwise we're just kind of running around in the roundabout and never getting off. It goes
There,
around, goes
there's
around and around, around in your head, and you're just the same old thing. And it's just like, okay, we need to get off and try something new.
there's that roundabout. So,
How many times have we all felt like we've been on the roundabout and we don't know how to get off?
and until somebody says, "Hey, Debbie,
Yes.
come this way. Let's go this path.
Let's make a quilt.
Let's go make a quilt." Absolutely. Oh, so those of you that are watching, and Debbie and Pastor Lydia and myself, I challenge us, write down that one word every day. And at the end of the month, let's see what kind of a quilt it looks like, because it probably won't mean anything to anybody else, but when we look back at the words that we have written, it will be a gentle reminder. It will be a heartfelt reminder, because it will take us back to those places, those things, those memories. And maybe it's a phone call from somebody. Maybe somebody held a door open for you and you're grateful for that, because that made you feel good. Or maybe it was because you did that. Maybe you held a door open for somebody.
Or that square on the quilt that reminds you of an Easter dress that you wore one year to church, or a flannel shirt that your dad wore, or the quilts are just the embodiment a lot of times of memories. And so I think that people took special scraps of grandma's wedding dress, or Nana's bathrobe. It just doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Those memories, each piece is a part of who you are.
And that's where those old gold quilt pieces came from. And I think about the banners that we put up for Father's Day that Judy Hill made for us, with the ties from various men in the church. What a blessing. And you can look at that like a quilt and see the differences in the ties, how they've changed. Some of them are super skinny, some of them are really wide. It shows that quilt of things that have happened and what we've experienced.
I had a choir director once that he was a teacher in a middle school, and he had been teaching for a while, and he told us once, because he had a different tie every Sunday. Every Sunday it was a different tie. We never saw the same one twice. He says, I have over 300 ties in my closet. And I think to myself, what a quilt that would make. you know, Gifts from his students. I'm sure when he looks and puts on the tie, he thinks of the student who gave it to him.
I'm sure. And that's part of our gratitude.
Yes. It's honoring those who went before us.
So we need to keep those words in mind. Oh, happy day when Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to be rejoicing every day. And when we rejoice, God rejoices with us. He rejoices in us and through us that we can help other people.
Yes.
So our time is up, but I challenge you, start that one word list each day. You don't have to write it in a book, in a journal. Just grab a piece of paper. Keep it someplace where your cat won't chew it up or the dog won't chew it up. That's, speaking from experience there. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
And we're grateful for you.